What if everything you thought you knew about the pyramids was wrong? Hi, I'm Dr. Veritas. You've probably heard this one before. The pyramids of Egypt. So perfect, so mysterious. They couldn't possibly have been built by ancient humans. Right? Let's take a closer look together. Picture this. You're standing at the base of the Great Pyramid of Giza, craning your neck to see the top of this massive stone mountain that humans supposedly built over 4,500 years ago. Your mind starts racing. How did people without cranes, without wheels, without even iron tools, manage to stack 2.3 million blocks of stone, some weighing as much as a car, into a perfect pyramid that stands 481 feet tall? It's no wonder that for centuries, people have looked at these incredible structures and thought, there's no way regular humans did this alone. The alien theory is probably the most famous wild explanation for the pyramids. According to this idea, extraterrestrial beings either built the pyramids themselves or gave ancient Egyptians the technology to do it. The theory gained massive popularity thanks to Erich von Daniken's 1968 book, Chariots of the Gods, which asked provocative questions like, were the gods astronauts? Von Daniken pointed to the incredible precision of pyramid construction, the massive weight of the stones, and what he claimed were depictions of spacecraft and astronauts in ancient Egyptian art. He argued that ancient humans were simply too primitive to achieve such engineering marvels without help from advanced alien civilizations. The alien theory exploded in popularity with the History Channel's Ancient Aliens series, which premiered in 2010. The show, featuring wild-haired Giorgio Tsoukalos and his famous aliens meme, presented every unexplained ancient mystery as potential evidence of extraterrestrial intervention. Suddenly, millions of viewers were seeing the pyramids through this lens, and the internet ran wild with the idea. Another popular theory suggests that a race of giants built the pyramids. This idea often ties into religious texts that mention giants, like the Nephilim in the Bible. Proponents argue that only beings of enormous size and strength could have moved those massive stone blocks into place. Some versions of this theory claim that these giants were the offspring of angels and humans possessing supernatural strength. Others suggest they were simply a larger human subspecies that has since gone extinct. YouTube videos and fringe websites are filled with supposed evidence of giant skeletons found near pyramid sites, though none of these claims have been verified by legitimate archaeologists. The time traveler theory is a more modern twist on pyramid mysteries. Some people believe that either time travelers from our future went back to help build the pyramids, or that an advanced ancient civilization like Atlantis possessed futuristic technology that was later lost to history. This theory often points to the mathematical precision of pyramid construction, suggesting that ancient Egyptians somehow had access to advanced knowledge about pi, the golden ratio, and precise astronomical alignments that wouldn't be discovered until thousands of years later. Perhaps the most enduring mainstream theory was that the pyramids were built by massive armies of enslaved workers, whipped into submission by cruel pharaohs. This image was popularized by Hollywood movies like The Ten Commandments and countless historical dramas that showed thousands of sweating, suffering slaves dragging enormous blocks across the desert. According to this theory, the pharaohs simply threw unlimited human labor at the problem. working slaves to death to satisfy their megalomaniacal desires for eternal monuments. The sheer scale of the pyramids, this theory suggested, could only be explained by the ruthless exploitation of human misery on an industrial scale. These theories didn't just appear out of nowhere. They spread through a perfect storm of media, mystery, and human psychology. Books like Chariots of the Gods became bestsellers, spawning countless imitators. Television shows turned speculation into entertainment, presenting wild theories alongside legitimate archaeology, without always making clear distinctions. The internet supercharged the spread of these ideas. YouTube channels, blogs, and social media allowed anyone to become a pyramid researcher and share their theories with the world. These theories also benefited from being emotionally satisfying stories. They offered simple explanations for complex mysteries and made viewers feel like they were in on secret knowledge that mainstream science was hiding or too close-minded to accept. When you really look at the numbers, it's easy to understand why people think the pyramids couldn't have been built by ancient humans using primitive tools. The Great Pyramid contains about 2.3 million stone blocks, with an average weight of 2.5 tons each. Some of the granite blocks in the King's Chamber weigh up to 80 tons. The precision is equally staggering. The base of the Great Pyramid is level to within just 2.1 centimeters. The four sides align almost perfectly with the cardinal directions, with an error of only 3/60th of a degree. The ratio of the pyramid's perimeter to its height is remarkably close to 2 pi, leading some to believe this couldn't be coincidental. For people living in the modern world, where we build skyscrapers with steel, concrete, and massive cranes, it's hard to imagine how anyone could achieve this level of precision using copper tools, wooden sledges, and human muscle power. Ancient Egyptians were generally good record keepers, documenting everything from tax collections to military campaigns. But when it comes to detailed instructions for pyramid building, the records are surprisingly sparse. We don't have ancient Egyptian blueprints showing exactly how they planned to move 80-ton granite blocks, or how they achieved such precise alignment. This gap in the historical record created a vacuum that wild theories rushed to fill. When mainstream archaeology couldn't point to a papyrus scroll titled "Pyramid Building for Dummies," it left room for people to imagine that the real explanation must be hidden or lost to time. The absence of clear records also fed into conspiracy thinking. If the Egyptians really built these monuments using conventional methods, conspiracy theorists asked, why wouldn't they have documented their amazing achievement in detail? The lack of records became evidence that something was being covered up. Some of the most compelling evidence for alternative pyramid theories comes from ancient Egyptian carvings and hieroglyphs that seem to show impossibly modern objects. The most famous example is the helicopter hieroglyph found in the Temple of Seti I at Abydos. In this carving, some hieroglyphs appear to show what looks like a helicopter, a submarine, and even a UFO. To people already suspicious of mainstream explanations, these carvings seemed like smoking gun evidence that ancient Egyptians had contact with advanced technology or visitors from the future. Another popular example is the Dendera light reliefs found in the Hathor Temple complex. These carvings show elongated bulb-like objects with wavy lines inside them. which some interpret as ancient light bulbs or electrical devices. How else, they argue, could ancient Egyptians have illuminated the interior chambers while painting detailed artwork? Then, there are the mysterious handbag objects that appear in carvings from various ancient civilizations around the world. These rectangular objects with handles appear in Sumerian, Egyptian, and even pre-Columbian American art. To believers in ancient astronaut theories, these look suspiciously like modern briefcases or technological devices that were given to ancient peoples by their extraterrestrial visitors. The History Channel's Ancient Aliens deserves special mention for its role in popularizing alternative pyramid theories. The show's format was particularly effective at making wild speculation seem credible. It would present legitimate archaeological mysteries, interview real experts discussing genuine unknowns, and then seamlessly transition to speculation about alien intervention. The show's signature technique was the leading question. Could it be that ancient astronauts possessed advanced technology that allowed them to move massive stone blocks? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes. This format made viewers feel like they were being presented with balanced evidence, when in reality, they were being fed pure speculation. The show's influence extended far beyond television. Clips from Ancient Aliens became viral content on social media, spreading theories about pyramid construction to millions of people who might never have encountered these ideas otherwise. The memes were funny, but they also helped normalize the idea that aliens might have built the pyramids. There's something deeply appealing about believing you know a secret that mainstream science is missing or covering up. Alternative pyramid theories offered people the chance to feel intellectually superior to the closed-minded archaeologists and historians who stuck to boring conventional explanations. Wild pyramid theories reflect a modern bias that ancient peoples must have been less intelligent or capable than we are today. When we look at an achievement like the Great Pyramid and think there's no way ancient people could have done this, we're revealing our own prejudices about the past. Okay, now, let's start by clearing up those mysterious ancient carvings that seem to show helicopters, light bulbs, and other impossibly modern objects. The explanations are actually much simpler and more interesting than alien intervention. The famous helicopter hieroglyph at Abydos is a perfect example of how our modern eyes can trick us into seeing things that are not really there. What happened was this. The temple was built during the reign of Seti I, whose name was carved in hieroglyphs on the wall. Later, his son Ramesses II had the old hieroglyphs plastered over and carved his own name in the same spot. Over thousands of years, the plaster partially fell away, revealing portions of both sets of hieroglyphs overlapping each other. The result is a jumbled mess of carved lines that, if you squint and use your imagination, might look like a helicopter or submarine. But if you examine the carving carefully and understand the layering that occurred, you can actually make out parts of both pharaohs' names. The Dendera light reliefs are equally mundane once you understand Egyptian religious symbolism. The elongated objects are light bulbs. They're depictions of lotus flowers emerging from the primordial waters of creation, a common theme in Egyptian mythology. The filaments inside are actually snakes, specifically the serpent that represented the god of the earth emerging from the flower of creation. These aren't ancient electrical devices. They're religious symbols representing the Egyptian creation myth. The Egyptians decorated their temples with complex theological imagery, not instruction manuals for alien technology. As for those mysterious handbags that appear in ancient art worldwide, they're most likely depicting woven baskets, leather pouches, or ceremonial containers that were common in many ancient cultures. The fact that they appear in different civilizations isn't evidence of alien contact. It's evidence that humans everywhere figured out how to make containers with handles, because containers with handles are useful. One of the most persistent myths about pyramid construction is that it required massive armies of enslaved workers. This image is so ingrained in popular culture that many people are shocked to learn it's completely wrong. Archaeological evidence has revealed that the pyramid builders were actually well-fed, skilled workers who were honored for their contributions. In the 1990s, archaeologists discovered the remains of the workers' village near the Giza pyramids. What they found painted a very different picture from the Hollywood slave narrative. The workers lived in organized dormitories and ate well. Animal bones found at the site show that they consumed large quantities of beef, mutton, and fish. Expensive, high-quality protein that wouldn't have been wasted on disposable slave labor. They also ate bread, onions, and garlic, a diet specifically designed to keep workers strong and healthy. Even more telling, the workers receive proper medical care. Skeletons found at the site show evidence of healed fractures and other injuries that had been expertly treated. Some workers even survived amputations, which would have been impossible without skilled medical care and time to recover, luxuries that enslaved workers wouldn't have received. The workers were also honored in death. They were buried near the pyramids they helped build, with their graves oriented toward the monuments. Some graves even contained small model boats, suggesting the workers believed they would sail into the afterlife alongside their pharaohs. Graffiti left by work gangs inside the pyramids reveals their pride in their work. Teams had names like Friends of Khufu and Drunkards of Menkaure, and they left inscriptions marking their progress and competing with other teams. This isn't the behavior of enslaved workers. It's the behavior of skilled craftsmen who took pride in their extraordinary achievement. So how did these ancient engineers actually move those massive stone blocks without alien technology? Through a combination of clever engineering, organized labor, and techniques that were impressive precisely because they were so elegantly simple. First, let's talk about the stones themselves. Most of the pyramid's blocks aren't nearly as massive as people think. While the granite blocks in the interior chambers can weigh 80 tons, the vast majority of the pyramid consists of limestone blocks weighing 2 to 3 tons each. That's still heavy, but it's within the range of what organized human crews could handle with the right techniques. The Egyptians were masters of moving heavy objects. They used wooden sledges to transport blocks overland, and they knew that wet sand dramatically reduces friction. Experiments have shown that wetting the sand in front of a sledge can cut the pulling force required by up to 50%. Ancient Egyptian paintings actually show workers pouring water in front of sledges carrying heavy statues, proving they understood this technique. For the truly massive blocks, the Egyptians used more sophisticated methods. They could move enormous stones by rolling them on wooden logs, using levers to lift and position them, and employing ramps to gradually raise them to higher levels. Archaeological evidence of these ramps has been found at several pyramid sites. The precise cutting and fitting of stones was achieved through patient work with copper tools, wooden wedges, and abrasive sand. Copper is soft by modern standards, but it's perfectly adequate for working limestone when used skillfully. The Egyptians would use copper saws with sand as an abrasive to cut stone, and copper chisels to shape and dress the blocks. For the hardest stones like granite, they used a technique called fire setting. They would build fires against the stone to heat it, then pour cold water on the heated surface. The rapid temperature change would crack the stone, allowing them to split it along controlled lines. One of the most impressive aspects of pyramid construction wasn't the individual techniques. It was the incredible organization required to coordinate the entire project. Building the Great Pyramid required quarrying, transporting, and precisely placing over 2 million stone blocks over the course of about 20 years. This means the builders had to quarry, transport, and place an average of 300 blocks per day, every day, for 2 decades. That level of sustained productivity required sophisticated project management, supply chains, and quality control that would impress modern construction managers. The Egyptians organized their workforce into specialized teams. Some teams quarried stone, others transported it. Still others lifted and placed blocks. Each team had specific skills and equipment suited to their tasks. The precision of the final product shows that they had systems for ensuring quality control at every step. They also had to solve complex logistical problems. The limestone blocks came from quarries on the Giza plateau, but the granite came from Aswan, over 500 miles to the south. This meant coordinating river transport during flood season, when the Nile was high enough for heavy barges to navigate upstream. The workers needed food, water, tools, and housing. The archaeological evidence shows they built an entire temporary city to support the construction project, complete with bakeries, breweries, workshops for tool production and repair, and medical facilities. One of the biggest mysteries for modern people is how the Egyptians raised those heavy blocks to heights of nearly 500 feet without cranes. The answer lies in ramps, but not the simple straight ramps that many people imagine. Archaeological evidence and computer modeling suggest the Egyptians used a combination of ramp systems. For the lower levels, they likely used straight external ramps approaching the pyramid from one or more sides. As the pyramid grew taller, these ramps would have become impossibly long and steep. For the upper levels, they probably switched to internal ramps that spiraled up inside the pyramid structure itself, or zigzag ramps that racked around the outside of the pyramid. Recent discoveries at other pyramid sites have found evidence of both types of ramp systems. The French architect Jean-Pierre Houdin has proposed a detailed theory involving an internal spiral ramp that explains how the upper levels were built. While his specific theory remains unproven, it demonstrates how sophisticated ramp systems could have made pyramid construction possible without requiring alien technology. The mathematical relationships found in the Great Pyramid, like its approximation of pi and various astronomical alignments, are often cited as evidence that ancient Egyptians had impossible knowledge. But the reality is both simpler and more impressive than alien intervention. Here's the thing that alternative theories miss. The real story of how the pyramids were built is actually more impressive than alien intervention or lost technology. The idea that extraterrestrials swooped down and built the pyramids using advanced technology diminishes the incredible achievement of the ancient Egyptians. What the evidence shows us is that humans 4,500 years ago were just as intelligent, creative, and capable as we are today. They looked at the challenge of building a permanent monument that would last for millennia, and they figured out how to do it using the materials and tools available to them. They developed sophisticated engineering techniques, organized massive construction projects, created supply chains that stretched hundreds of miles, and maintained quality control standards that modern builders would admire. They did all of this while creating works of art that still inspire awe today. The Great Pyramid stood as the tallest human-made structure in the world for over 3,800 years, until the construction of medieval cathedrals in Europe. Think about that. Ancient Egyptian engineers created a building that held the world height record for nearly 4 millennia. They achieved this through human engineer, determination, and skill. No aliens required. The story of pyramid construction offers important lessons for our modern world. It shows us that humans have always been capable of remarkable achievements when they work together toward common goals. It demonstrates the power of careful planning, skilled craftsmanship, and persistent effort. It also reminds us to be skeptical of simple explanations for complex achievements. The truth is usually more interesting than the conspiracy theories or wild speculation that captures headlines and goes viral on social media. The next time you see a documentary suggesting that aliens built the pyramids, remember the real story. Thousands of skilled workers, ingenious engineers, and visionary leaders who came together to create one of the most enduring monuments in human history. The pyramids stand today not as monuments to alien visitors or lost civilizations, but as eternal testaments to human achievement. And that's a story far more inspiring than any science fiction alternative. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to uncover more hidden truths, don't forget to like and subscribe